We're going back into DAO land, which is my favorite place to be, as you all know. This week, I've been looking at Hector DAO, which is an Olympus DAO fork, a fork of that old, crazy internet money project of yesteryear. Hector's had a hard time going. Now it's trying to figure out what to do with its DAO, whether basically to throw out the old methods of governance that it had, which didn't really work so well, and maybe pivot to a new entity that's based in the Cayman Islands that has a lot more aspects of centralization. So we're seeing right here another example of that want to be decentralized grapple with the real world issues that happen when they try to work with the wider world. And a lawyer who was on this call that I attended at 6 a.m. on Thursday morning, I do not recommend that for anyone, but the lawyer said that Hector really can't achieve what it wants to achieve if it just remains a DAO. It needs to pivot and become more of a well-to-do company that other businesses can understand. So Zach, what do you think of a DAO? Like, how does a DAO succeed in this world?
What a question.
I just love Danny's new beat, which is just like sniping scrubby DAOs from the face of the earth. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to go roll up into some calls. It's available to me. It's open. And I'm going to go write about the shenanigans that happen in these calls because centralized governance is hard. It's ugly. And you see a lot of it unfolding in real time. So I think that is a nice feature of the DAO space, that it is transparent, despite all you nosy reporters getting out there and putting it on the record. But you do get to see it unfold in real time, and you get to see these debates unfold in real time, right? Do we need a traditional legal structure? Can we really be decentralized? And that seems to be sort of the tension, the ends of the spectrum there on how various groups are approaching this thing. And, you know, we see sort of legal frameworks and legal protections in certain U.S. states and in other countries that look to sort of put some of the LLC framework around some of these internet native organizations. But yeah, it does sort of come back to the fact, well, if this is just going to be a company by another newfangled name, why don't you just be a company? And I think there's obviously like legal ramifications that follow from those decisions, especially as it relates to these governance tokens, which I think are becoming increasingly disfavorably seen, especially by U.S. regulators, as it relates to whether or not they're more securities-like than some of the DAO believers would hope. So I don't know. I mean, you could see that Danny could do this all day. He could get up at 6 a.m., 5 days a week, find a DAO that is grappling with these issues, and maybe it'll advance the conversation and get us to some consensus on how DAOs should work. But I don't know. Jen, what do you think?
I support that, Danny. I also love this new beat of yours. And every time we talk about one of your investigations, I have kind of the same take, right? Like, DAOs aren't perfect. I think the only thing they figured out is how to manage a treasury, and the rest is kind of gone with the wind. I think there's not enough tools out there to do all of these things that DAOs want to do, that they're working towards, that they maybe promised to do for their token holders. And the fact that this DAO is having a discussion of being a little more centralized, I think is good, because there are so many DAOs out there that are not having these discussions out in the open, and they are centralizing more and more just to be more efficient, but they're not communicating it. So while it sounds like the community was very skeptical of this proposal, I think it's good that the conversations are out there. They're open. People and journalists like Danny can attend. The lawyer who was answering questions on this call, Danny, you quoted him in the article. He said, or they said, sorry, honestly, DAOs cannot be naive to think, hey, we'll just be a group of people who are buying tokens and then try to run an organization with tens of millions in a treasury without any expertise. That cannot work. I think that is a fair statement to say, right? And what they're proposing is this legally wrapped entity with managers and directors and supervisors to help guide this organization in the right direction. And I think when there's this much money at stake, that is probably the right thing to do when we don't have enough tools to decentralize. So I think DAOs are a great dream, but Danny, keep fighting the good fight and bringing these stories to life, because I love talking about them. Anna, what do you think? Or Danny, go ahead.
Well, actually,
I will say, it's.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask, like, but the proposal isn't going to be accepted, right? Like, it doesn't look like the vote will be in favor in the end. The community will vote for that.
The vote is running through the weekend, but it looks right now, unless a massive whale shows up, which always is a possibility with these DAOs, it looks like the vote will fail. And then, this DAO is going to have to take its battleship, park it back in some quiet ocean harbor, and figure out what to do next. Because these seas are only getting more stormy. I don't know. Maybe the real answer is just to go to the Cayman Islands. That to me feels like the ultimate answer to a lot of these DAOs. They just have to reform themselves in the Caymans. I don't know, though. It's just such a mess. I love reporting on it. It's really quite fun. Zach.
So aside from the drama, like, what is the unifying theme that you're finding in this sort of suite of DAO coverage? What like, are you seeing similar pain points emerge, or is each one like uniquely dysfunctional?
Well, each one is uniquely dysfunctional in its attempts to stay honest to the idea that token holders can have a say in how things run, right? Like, if you're a shareholder in a public company, you get to vote annually in a shareholder meeting that doesn't really decide much of anything important. In DAOs, there's this broad idea that token holders have a right to chime in, but then when you get to actual implementation of business ideas and business plans, leaving those decisions and implementation up to hobbyists who might not be willing to spend or might not be able to spend 100% of their time on a project leaves a lot to be desired, and it ends up in many cases with organizations that either are less decentralized than they purport to be because there are centralized people behind the scenes making sure things happen, or are just as decentralized as they say to be and aren't getting anything done because of it. So I don't know what the right solution is at this point.
But wasn't the whole idea of the DAO, like of the concept of a DAO, to put the governance in the hands of hobbyists and whoever the hell joins? Like, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Like, DAOs are supposed to be centralized and messy. And if you cannot reach some stated goals as a DAO, maybe you shouldn't have a DAO in the first place. I don't know.
That's true, but the problem is they already have the DAO and they have millions of dollars. There are millions of dollars at stake in these battles, so they need to figure out what to do with it.